I've been with him almost right out of hygiene school. So I was really fortunate to get in with a very progressive dentist that loves all the new toys and everything that overwhelmed me in the beginning, but it's been awesome. So I'm just very fortunate to have found that place.
Specifically for hygienists, like if you can walk into an office and work, and when your patient shows up, immediately start the appointment, that's completely different than waiting for a patient 10, 15 minutes, right? Time now is like gold. So I think that's been huge.
If you understand why you're doing it, not even for yourself, but for the patient, then it makes that checklist a little bit easier to kind of go through and be like, okay, well, now I know exactly why I'm doing this. I'm not just, my doctor's not just telling me to do it just because.
Get ready for your unofficial dental hygiene podcast. These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
So, Andrew, I'm so excited that we are finally putting this together. We've been talking about engaging with the students for a very long time now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's about time that we started really giving them the focus that they deserve, right? They're the future of our profession.
They really are. And we're excited that PDT has sponsored this episode because they do believe in the students being the future of our profession. They're going to be our colleagues, right?
Mm-hmm. You've heard about it in the past. We've been talking about PDT for a long time. They believe very much in quality education, and they've been sponsoring our episodes for a long time now.
Yes. And we think all of these episodes are actually going to be really great, even for the veteran hygienist. We really wanted to make these episodes and these round tables focusing on topics that students are going to either be presented with when they go into new offices, maybe things that are happening during their time as a student. But, you know, how do they go and move from student to new grad to experienced RDH?
Yeah, so we're expecting to have episodes. Sometimes it'll be on instrumentation, how to adapt to certain angles, using an ultrasonic, maybe sharpening the instruments. And then other times we're going to talk about what types of offices that you're going to encounter, whether it's corporate, private practice, maybe a DSO. We'll talk about pay structures. There's just so much that's out there that you're right. Even the veteran hygienist is going to need to know these things as well.
And so we hope you enjoy this episode, and be sure to check out PDT, your Paradise Dental Technologies, because they have some of the greatest instruments.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah?
It's time for the interview.
Oh, but I had something else to say.
We need to let the experts talk now.
Fine.
So students, this is your episode, and we are going to base it on technology. We would love for our hygiene programs to all have amazing technology, but we realize the budget is not always there. And there's so many innovations right now that no one really could keep up on that. So we have some hygienists here that are practicing with pretty cool technology. And so we wanted to introduce you to some of these words, some of these, the names of the equipment or the processes. That way, if you do go into an office where they are doing that, you're not like, what are you talking about? So welcome, Marty. Tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
So my name is Martin Helmbrecht. I am a dental hygienist, as yourself, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I'm also the VP of operations for OperaDDS and OperaVR. Most commonly, people say, what the heck does that mean? OperaDDS is operatory solutions for dentists, and operatory VR is operatory virtual reality. So a virtual reality sedation product for patients. So instead of seeing the needles and being afraid, they can sit on the beach while they get their work done.
Isn't that the coolest?
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Right?
Yes.
Look at
Yes.
We have an audience member, Jesse, here, who is like, what?
Jaw to the floor. Yeah, that's fantastic. That was the perfect response. Thank you. That happens every time with the patients.
I haven't seen you in there. Oh, I'm 100%.
Booth 1136, we have super comfy chairs, memory foam pillows you get to lay on, so it's awesome.
And I should probably say that we are at Dentsply Sirona World, and so that's where we're all hanging out, which is a kind of innovative, I guess, meeting here. So
by far my favorite.
Good.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of shows, and this one's
very nice.
The best.
Good to know. So students, keep in mind when you're thinking about your courses where you could go get your information.
Yeah.
All right, Meghan.
Yes. So my name's Meghan Wood. I'm a hygienist out of Raleigh, North Carolina. So this weekend, I'm actually here. Our boss has a training company called 3D Dentists. So I'm here with him supporting the team in that aspect and helping dentists sign up for continuing education. And I've been with him almost right out of hygiene school. So I was really fortunate to get in with a very progressive dentist that loves all the new toys and everything that overwhelmed me in the beginning. But it's been awesome. So I'm just very fortunate to have found that place.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That speaks to dentistry too, right? It's like you can't be afraid of technology. You just dive in head first and just go for it. Don't be afraid to break things. And it's like being a kid almost, right?
Right.
My niece is like 4. She has an iPhone. She's
tear it up.
I don't even know what to do with that. They know how to swipe before they're 1, and I can't even handle it.
Yes.
All right, Jess.
So my name is Jessica Lawson. I practice in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been practicing for about 2.5 years, so I'm still learning a lot and kind of jumping into things. I'm working with a dentist right now who has a lot of all of the new technology, and I did start at a practice that didn't have anything close to that. So I kind of got to see both sides of technology with and without. So.
And one thing I didn't even think about until just this moment is that actually all the dentists that you work with have been on this podcast.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
So, check that out.
Well, Tarun T-Bone, who he and I think all 3 of us went head to head. And we were like, okay, we can be friends now.
He's terrible on hygiene podcasts. Excuse him if you listen to any of it. He just likes to rock the boat.
He does, and then we found out at the end that he's really a teddy bear, but he pushed our buttons.
Super abrasive, yeah.
We got. So listen to that one, and then Dr. Laskin was on.
Yeah. Dr. Brian Laskin, he's actually doing a lot of stuff in regards to some of those new grads that are coming out of school looking for employment that we could talk about as well.
Yeah, and he's been on talking about that and the VR side of it.
Absolutely.
And then Dr. Sully Sullivan has been on with the Millennial Dentist.
Cool.
Yeah. Who also uses VR, which is
yes,
really cool.
I was going to say we do have.
I think he was on the news for us too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a media company that gets the dentist on the news for VR.
I love
Super
it.
fun.
Gosh, there's so many things. Okay, so let's get into some questions. I just want to know, how long have y'all been practicing?
I've been a hygienist for 6 years, so I'm still a baby. I consider myself a baby in the hygiene career.
We're all kind of still babies.
Yeah.
I'm 15 in it, so I feel like a baby still.
Yeah. 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
2.5.
Oh, okay. She has a southern accent, though. She'd get away with anything, right? Be like, let's in.
Well, I'm from Kentucky, so a little bit.
But you don't. Are you from Raleigh?
Yeah.
Okay, and because you don't have much, and I'm from Charleston, and I don't. have much
so my mom grew up in Charleston, and my dad's from Long Island, so I end up with this weird, Midwestern sounding half the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no big accent for me.
I went to boot camp in Kentucky, and they scared me away, so I've never been back.
I've never went.
Yeah.
Kentucky's a scary place.
Okay, so I want to know what technology did you go into an office that had technology, and you were like, oh, this is amazing, or were you like, I'm just trying to survive being a hygienist, and learning that I don't need 4 hours to do a patient?
Right. Yeah.
What was your first experience, I guess, with technology?
Mine was the latter. I started out as a temp because I just wanted to expose myself to the varying degrees of dentistry, and obviously every dentist is different. So I started working for a place called Lake Superior Dental Associates, big fancy word, in Minnesota, up in Duluth, Minnesota. And when I got there, they have 6 dentists, a ton of other employees, just a huge place, right? So you'd think, wow, they've got to have everything flowing like a well-oiled machine. But then I got there and they were still doing the old school x-rays where I would have to go into a dark room by myself.
No.
Do an FMX.
Could you imagine?
20 minutes. Like, holy crap.
I'm going to take a nap in there.
Whole
Forget
appointment,
this.
right? So I'm like into one solution, into the next.
Oh my God. Wait, no, the dipping one? So not even a process.
Not even a process. It was crazy.
I didn't even learn that.
I was going to say,
I learned that in hygiene school, but we did it just for good measure, but we always had the processor at UNC.
Exactly.
So when I moved to the cities, I met Dr. Laskin, and he's the virtual reality, paperless forms, and everything else that he's doing. I was like mind blown that these things were happening in dentistry. Like, holy crap, how do you have paper charts still these days, right?
I don't know.
No.
I know. So how about you? You're the newest grad here.
So I worked in an office that we were still using the paper charts. We had most of the radiographic, all of those. We had, the Panorex. We didn't have a CBCT. We had digital sensors and everything. I mean, the main thing for me was the paper charts. I mean, we had stacks of charts that we still had to write in just because it was so inconvenient to like take the patient out and then turn around and write in your chart for like 10 minutes, trying to make it like unique of, what you talked about.
Right.
Instruction, like oral hygiene instruction, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, paper charts.
So I think one thing that we're kind of noticing is that we were the generation that was right in the middle when everyone was transferring or transitioning from paper to digital. And we're still kind of on the forefront of that. A lot of offices still have those paper charts. But once, when I was in dental hygiene school, we had a program that taught us about some of the more forward tech ideas that they had. And one of those was some of that paper charting, transitioning to digital. And it's like night and day. Right. And specifically for hygienists, like if you can walk into an office and work and when your patient shows up, immediately start the appointment, that's completely different than waiting for a patient 10, 15 minutes, right? Because time to us is like gold. So I think that's been huge. So like when these students are transitioning into the world, like if you can educate yourself on that stuff ahead of time and then seek out the dentists that do that stuff, because those are the ones that you're going to enjoy your career with.
So if we go in away from paper charts and we let's hope and pray, fingers crossed, that they have actual digital charts, right? Would you say on the interview would be a good idea to ask them what system they're using and then just YouTube that,
100%. Yeah.
Love out of
YouTube
it. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, I literally taught myself how to tie a bow tie or an Eldridge knot tie YouTube before I came here, all week sitting in the mirror doing it, and I got it down. So it's
Looks good.
anything.
The internet is your friend.
Yeah, it can be. And it can be your worst enemy too sometimes.
Yes.
There's a ton of educational stuff out there. So it's
Okay.
great.
So what is one piece of technology, if they said that no, your next office you went into, because now you all are in pretty innovative offices. If you went to the next office and they were like, no, we don't have that, you'd be like, this might not be my office.
Cone beam.
100%.
Awesome.
Cone beam.
Awesome.
I've seen so much on a cone beam that you would never see
For sure.
on a 2D image.
Yeah. So that was pretty intimidating for me coming out of school because, we had done all the radiology courses and it's kind of one of those things that I felt like in school I was just sink or swim, cramming it, just trying to make it through. And I don't think until I actually got out into practice, I understood the practicality and, day-to-day use where it comes in handy. And I just couldn't imagine seeing people without it. The stuff you miss.
I was going to say you're almost doing a disservice to the patient, knowing after having a 3D image, knowing what you can see in a 3D image in comparison to what you don't see.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to go back to alginate impressions or anything like that either. But if I had to pick the cone beam.
You'd go cone beam.
Wow, okay.
That I think is good to YouTube. I did a lot with that, but I remember I wasn't used to trying to catch anything prior to the doctor coming in. When I came out of school, it was let me just get this person through a cleaning in an hour. And the stuff that I was expected to know and do. Thank goodness I got hired on in a maternity leave position. So I was filling in. And so it was 3 months of us butting heads. It was just really hard to pick up the new technology. So, I think just giving yourself grace and, doing a little extra at home. And I think the biggest thing I've done, and Dr. A is a great mentor, is every day I'd go in and be like, hey, how did that exam go? I could tell we were butting heads. Right.
Yeah,
Hey, give me some verbiage. What do I need to say? What am I looking for here?
That's a good tip.
So that would be mine. Don't be scared of your doctor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're not here to make your life miserable. Everybody knows you're new.
Yeah.
And literally every doctor that exists is different.
Yeah.
Right? None of them are the same. That was probably my biggest thing coming out was being a temp, I'd see how people did things differently, and knowing that the hygiene handoff checklist essentially that we create is way different for every dentist. Some really care about perio, some want nothing to do with it. That's your job.
They just want to do the
T-bone,
right? She's got it, or he's got it, or somebody has it. You figure it out. Whatever they said is fine.
Yeah. So I actually used to teach a course at one of the dental hygiene schools about how to transition from being a dental student into the working world. And the first thing I always focused on was coming up with your own hygiene checklist. Have a linear checklist that you fill out every single time and it never changes. So when the doctor comes in, he can anticipate that you're going to talk about x-rays after you talk about the perio concerns. Because at the end of the day, doctors are linear thinkers, right? Sometimes they get scatterbrained, and if you tell them too much information, they're
out of here.
Anything.
Right.
They didn't
hear you.
For sure.
So if I can just digress back because you said cone beam. Who can define what cone beam is and what it's really replacing for students that have probably never seen?
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, we're going too far.
Yeah, this is the story of my life. I give them like a big picture, and I'm like, oh, let me go back and define.
Oh my
it a
gosh.
little bit.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
let
going to
me
guess cone
Google
beam
it.
something technology. What's the C stand for?
CBCT, right?
Yep.
Yes, let's Google
Cone
it.
beam computer.
Cone beam computed tomography.
There we go. There we
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah, so it's going to replace. So in our office, it replaces the panoramic.
Okay.
So you basically, it's a 3D image of your head. We take, we do have the technology here that they're selling, of course, but it takes
Also,
place at the piano.
I think it's also referred to as a CT image,
Yeah.
right, for short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So it could be CBCT in an office. Some people could say cone beam. Some people could say CT. So,
Yep.
but essentially, like you said, it's a 3D image, and what it shows you is pretty much the skull, and you can like flip it all
Oh,
around.
it's wild.
And
Patients love it. They're
Yeah.
like, this is the coolest thing I've ever
so
seen.
YouTube that because that's pretty cool.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you said earlier alginate impressions.
Uh-huh.
What have you replaced alginate impressions with?
Prime scan.
Okay. And that's intraoral scanning.
Intraoral scanning.
And students, we have had a podcast on scanners, so go back to that. But
Yeah, so we use that and something called the iTero.
okay.
So all of that replaces the goopy stuff that you wait that people gag on and everybody hates life and you've messed it up and now it's another 5 minutes. Like everything you need, you're capturing digitally. It's basically like this camera that touches the teeth. You watch it scan everything into the computer. It saves a file and then you can send it out to any lab you want, whether, you're doing an occlusal guard or whitening trays, anything like that. So
You bring up a great point too. Like sending it to the lab is much different than it used to be. Right? It
Yeah.
used to be old snail mail. Nowadays,
Right.
everything
Or they
is
come pick it up.
technology, right?
it's just right on
They
the
would
computer.
Just
literally
connect it to the
pick it up.
computer.
Yeah, right on the computer. So that fell
Simplify.
into, our hygiene role, which I didn't learn in school, the different stuff you'd have to do. And it's not all at once. I mean, when you come out as a new grad, I think it is just survival mode.
Yeah.
But the stuff that makes you valuable and saves time for your teammates and, anything you can do on that. So we don't have the assistants do any of that. If we need an occlusal guard, we're the ones taking the scan. iTero does an Invisalign simulation on people, which is amazing. So you scan their teeth with the camera and it pops up a before and after. I'm sure you guys have
Wow.
it too, of what their teeth would look like after Invisalign. So that's been huge. That's a fun one. YouTube it.
They're definitely
YouTube it.
they're newer though, right? Prime scans just came out recently.
Yeah. So the iTero, I think, is a couple years old. I don't know.
Okay.
But
And
definitely,
we've had multiple scanners.
they're just wicked fast
Yeah.
compared to what they used to be. They're awesome. So if you haven't seen one, definitely check those out on YouTube as well. I've actually been trying to hunt them down because I know they're in there somewhere at the
Yeah.
trade show. Like I want to give away a virtual reality kit every time they sell a Prime scan. That'd be so cool, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Right?
wow.
Like a neat little deal where it's like you get this cool technology for the patient. You get
Yeah.
something sweet for the dentist. Woohoo! Be
Everybody
awesome.
wins. Yeah.
And
the
we
marketing.
can definitely think about the people that would really benefit from this technology are like gaggers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
People who maybe get a little claustrophobic, have some airway issues. You guys are airway in the airway world.
Totally me. And in hygiene school, they're like, you're the dudes who are going to be our guinea pig for everything.
Oh, how
You're the
lucky.
Yeah, I got like 20 impressions.
20 women on
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got that.
I'm
too.
the gagger. I was like, gonna have to figure
Not
something out
gonna
here.
happen.
Yeah.
You suck.
I know.
Another big one. I don't know if you'd like to touch on this at all, but for me, it was I had the fear of like, where am I going to get a job? How am I going to get a job? Where am I supposed to go? How do I
I'd love to talk about
how do I look into employment? And one thing that I found is like now that we're all so connected, there's a lot of apps on the market. And there was one that I found called Quickly. And Quickly is like a dental staffing app. So it's like you set your own hours, you get to pick when you want to work, and if things pop up, you either accept it or you don't. It's like Uber for dentistry.
That's very cool.
Super cool.
Is that for temping?
Yeah. So
Oh.
it took like the stress of like thinking, am I going to find employment out of the equation? And next thing you know, like I'm getting jobs left and right, and I work when I want to work.
Right.
It was awesome.
And the thing I think too about temping, and this is a digression, we'll get back to technology, but I am not the hygienist that should be a temp. Like I like
Same.
my
Routine.
routine.
You like routine?
I like.
Yeah.
I don't want.
I want my
messing with
family.
my instruments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't be messing where I put my cotton roll. Like I need to know where everything is at the time. But if you are somebody that can like go with the flow and you want to find that office that works for you, that you really love, and the people, I think temping is amazing. But it ain't for me.
I'm totally the former.
Yeah.
I love my stuff where it is.
Yeah.
But the tipping was like, I like to do the opposite of what I'm supposed to do. So I'm scared of heights. I went skydiving, right? I'm
No, I think
scared of
temping's
commitment. So I
good.
decided to
It
propose.
is,
You
and
know,
I
like
think-
all of these things, like
Yeah.
it's just, I like to do the opposite of what I'm
What you're
expected to do.
yeah.
Well, and I wasn't
like it.
making hygiene money before hygiene school, so I didn't need like a 5-day-a-week job right away, like 3 days a week. I was like, this is great. Like, we can go to Harris Teeter or Whole Foods right now, you know?
Turn up a whole food.
I did. But temping is good. I was just fortunate to find the right office for me, but I think you could get stuck. And I'm somebody who really likes consistency. So I think, you can get stuck somewhere you don't need to be.
Yeah,
Or you're
it's
not
like
all
dating.
the way happy. It is like dating. Like, don't marry him.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, get out, try it out. I think
Right.
temping's good for that.
That's true.
For sure.
So dental hygiene school, it's not like just one age group, and I teach all the spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I will hear some people say, I don't like computers. I don't want to deal with that. Do you have any, like, how hard was it for you to grasp the technology? And if they have that comment, any advice to get over that hump? Because you can't live in this life, I think.
I was going to
without-
say, our world is technology now.
That's all it is
and
now.
thankfully, I kind of grew up in it. So computers, like the paper charts to me was,
You're like, what is this?
I was like, I would much rather just type.
You're like,
What if
there's
there's
a
a fire? Like, what do you do? Everything
Well,
gets
I'll
burnt
tell
down.
you what you do, because I had to do this for
Oh,
our
wow.
office.
Okay.
They tasked me with switching over from the MSDS sheets to the SDS sheets. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. Basically,
I don't want to. I know.
safety data sheet
yeah.
switched over, and like, if you have a fire, the first thing you're supposed to do is grab that book and run
Are
out the
you
door.
kidding me?
Right? Because
Like,
if the
that's
fireman
for
shows
the
up,
first thing that I'm going to do.
yeah, nobody's actually going to do that.
Right.
So I had to print off like thousands of sheets of new documents. It was the worst job
You must
ever.
have been the new guy.
You know what I
Like,
found out? Like a month later, that Patterson has like this auto SDS thing that's like, I
They
don't know,
do.
like $100.
They do.
You know,
We do it.
just does it for you. And here I am like slaving over this thing. Like,
So,
and-
yeah, I think
Oh,
if
it's
you're going to be, in different generations in hygiene school, you're right. If you're somebody who knows you're not going to be into technology, go find an old school office and,
They're still out there.
they're out there.
Yeah.
Maybe
For
drive
sure.
30 minutes out of town. I don't know. Or maybe old fee for service practice. Like somebody's out there for you. I think you're missing out. I think you're missing out on fun stuff. Hygiene's
and
fun, but
if you're not used to technology, that's a scary hump to kind of get over and move on. If you've been using paper and everything else
but it's not
your whole
possible.
life.
Right? It's not possible. Just like when I first got into hygiene school, I don't know about you guys, but like most intimidating thing to me was the different surfaces. Like day one, it was like 30 different mesiofacial, lingual, and I'm like, what is going on? Right? I'm
Where are
like
they
still trying to
buried?
remember where to put the barrier tape.
I blacked it out. I don't know. Just made it through.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee. Well, was there some really cool technology in your programs that you utilized?
They
No?
tried to teach us kind of both sides of things. Like we had the digital sensors, but we also had like the ScanX sensors. Whenever it comes to radiographs, we had computers. We each had computers, but we also did paper charts. So we kind of saw both sides.
Yeah. Okay. How many times, or what are your patients' responses to the technology? Is it positive? Is it negative? It's like, this is too much. Why are y'all so trendy? Or is it like, yeah.
Honestly, a lot of them don't care about most of this stuff.
Okay.
Unless it really pertains to the exact scenario that they have going on. Like you'll get the patient where it's like, if you truly see a difference between a 2D and a 3D image, if you could show that, they're like, oh my gosh, like you can't even see it on the first one, right? But on the 3D, you're like plain as day.
Yeah.
And then other patients that are just like, meh, whatever. I just
20,
wanna-
my
I just
teeth
wanna
are
get it in.
perfect.
Yeah,
Let
wanna
me
go home.
go. Yeah.
Whatever.
I think it's
Probably the biggest one though has been communication. Like if they just feel like you guys have it together, that's awesome. So confidence is a big thing in hygiene.
Yeah.
A lot of times like the case acceptance and things like that come from the hygienist more so than the dentist.
You know what I didn't do in hygiene, or maybe I did and I blacked this out. We do extraoral photographs in the office on almost every patient. Sometimes it's of nothing, but that has been huge. So I guess that's not like any of the cool technology. This is easy stuff, but going from intraoral to extraoral, I mean, you can see the full arch. I can tell somebody like, hey, this is cracked. You're going to, it looks like you may need a crown. Let's have
We
Dr.
do get some negative feedback every once in a while with the extraoral photos, just because it's so much in their mouth and they get kind of frustrated. They're like,
Oh, never.
I just want a
Yeah.
cleaning.
Right.
Maybe 1%, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, but we're pretty
it's great
quick.
for a baseline and things like that.
It's great. Like, let's
Yeah.
monitor your recession, your wear. Here's where you were 10 years ago.
Yep. One really big thing for me has always been, honestly, one of the most boring things, and that's charting notes and just adding just a line or two about like what that patient said to me at their visit.
Yeah.
So when they come in,
100%.
Let's say they didn't come in next 6 months, they came in a year, and I'm like, hey, how was the barbecue? They're like, holy crap, how do you remember that?
Right.
And I'm like,
What
oh,
school
you have
did
no
your
idea.
kid
Smartest
pick?
person
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
So cool. Just stupid little things like that go a long way, right?
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
like, literally, like, how was Sparky? And you cooked hot dogs that day.
Right.
Hamburgers. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so neat.
I agree. And okay, so if I can then let's talk about really quickly the photos,
Yes.
photography, because we have extraoral, like you're saying, intraoral. That's definitely not something that I am able to teach in my hygiene program because we don't have the 35 millimeter camera.
Yeah.
So are you doing that on every single new patient? Is that what's happening?
New patients, and then we're trying to do majority of our existing patients.
Okay. And it's
A lot of-
from the hygienist. You're doing that in the hygiene room?
Yes.
Okay.
Most of the time, yeah.
All right.
I mean, the assistants, you have to have at least 2 people or 1 person helping you.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the assistant.
She's like, that would be.
No, that would be a luxury. That would be nice. Do you hear this, Dr. A?
You do it by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So hygiene is basically for the new patient. I'm sorry, that got loud. The new patient would be the 3D or the CBTC, the cone beam x-ray that we use like a panoramic, 4 bite wings, 3 PAs, intraoral photos, the series there, which is the face shot, retracted open, upper, lower, charting. And then we have these little cheat sheets we fill out, medical billing slips. Like, it gets overwhelming, but if you just add in one thing at a time.
Yeah, crawl up around.
Right. Like, nobody expects you to come out. Like, we hired a new hygienist this year, and it's actually a girl I went to high school with. And she's been a hygienist, but not in a practice like ours. So we don't even have them see new patients for the first month, 2 months.
Wow, that's nice.
Right. Because
That's
it's
really
not
nice.
fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's
Yeah.
not fair to the
Too
patient. It's not
overwhelming.
fair to you.
They're going to get that class 3 that takes years to clean. And like, how the heck am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
Well, and if you understand why you're doing it, not even for yourself, but for the patient, then it makes that checklist a little bit easier to kind of go through and be like, okay, well, now I know exactly why I'm doing this. And not just, my doctor's not just telling me to do it just because.
Best advice I ever got from temping, actually, when I first started, was a dentist pulled me to the side and he said, hey, before you start here, I just want you to know, like, I don't expect perfection. Perfection is not possible in this world. And just know that you are here to do the best that you can. And if you miss something, guess what? You're going to get it the next time.
That's
and I was
right.
like, "Pfft, I got this.
See, yeah,
Awesome.
it took that pressure off of your
sure.
shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
How valuable do you find it when you do find a crack or calculus or a furcation involvement, something, and to snap a intraoral picture?
Mandatory.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
insane because I feel like, it's like you lose 20 pounds and you see yourself every day in the mirror. Like, they don't even know anything's
Right.
wrong half the time.
Yeah.
If I can show you, hey, this concerns me. Hey, I don't like the way this area looks on your tongue. I don't know. It's just seeing is believing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much of dentistry is a lack of trust, especially when somebody's spent so much time and money on their mouths over the years.
Yes.
Like, they come in not wanting to be there, not trusting us. They don't want to hear about how bad they're doing at home. Let me show you. Like, your gums
Yeah.
don't look good here. Something's not right.
So
Right.
it's great that comes from the hygienist because you build that rapport with
Yeah.
them.
Right. We've got the
But
hour with them.
Most
The
patients
dentist-
are thinking, I'm paying for the dentist doc or whatever it is out at his cabin home. With the hygienist, there's no financial gain behind it.
Right.
So it's great to have the rapport and they trust us.
Yeah, they definitely want to
really
be set up and be prepared and not have the doctor come in. I mean, don't make the doctor the bad guy all the time.
That's
Yeah.
a good point too.
Help him out.
Except for Dr.
Or her.
because he's the worst.
He
Kidding.
he's a big bad guy. Yeah.
Okay, one last question because you brought up taking a picture of the tongue. Do you guys utilize oral cancer technology? Because I'm personally using Forward Science, the oral ID.
Oral
Yeah,
ID.
we use the oral ID.
Oral ID, oral ID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have.
I didn't think of that.
I mean,
On the
it's like
technology,
you're so used to using it, right? You forget like what you're
It's
actually
so quick.
implementing.
It's so easy, and it gives such a peace of mind. I mean,
Yeah.
and we send people out. We've got a great oral surgeon for biopsies, like all the time. Not all the time, thank goodness, but it's just huge.
Yeah.
And they have a really cool iPhone or a phone
A picture
that goes over the lens,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
goes over it, so you could take a picture with their phone,
Yeah.
and they can actually see it, which is I
We
think,
don't have that.
yeah, it comes like you have your
Ours is-
glasses.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
but there's like, it's like a little clip that'll go like over
Maybe
the camera.
we do in a drawer. Okay.
For me,
It is that little that it would get shoved into a
Yeah.
drawer, right? Like it
neat.
is like that. Yeah.
It always felt like it was that additional thing that I had to do. But the first time that I ever found something that was
See,
positive,
you're done.
it was
It's
like,
sold.
yep, always doing this from
Right.
now on. Serve the
Forever.
purpose.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a patient die from parotid gland cancer. And so ever since then, I'm like,
Got to do it.
I'm going to do it
Yep.
every single time. Okay. So to wrap this up, I would love to hear if you have any advice for new grads or students that are going to be graduating. It can be about technology, or it can just be like what helped you survive your first month, year, whatever in as a hygienist.
Yeah, from my end of things, I would say you have to be confident first and foremost. Go in with your head held high. Like I mentioned, don't expect perfection. Things are going to happen. Things are going to come up, and we pivot and we jump over those hurdles. And it's all about having that confidence at the end of the day. Hygiene is a fun job if you make it fun and allow it to be fun. If you stress yourself out too much, you're going to burn out quickly.
Yeah.
But if you allow it to be a great time and know that you're serving a purpose, then the ultimate goal is to just go home happy. And that's the number one thing that I needed personally. It's a demanding job. It's a rewarding job, but confidence is definitely number one.
Awesome. Awesome.
So for me, it would probably be that sometimes you've got to bite the bullet and just be on the lower part of the pole so that you can work your way up. Not everyone is going to get that top-notch job that, you see some of your friends having or that you dream of. I mean, for you to really appreciate what you're working
You got to
with,
get the back.
you kind of have to see like the crappy
kiss those
side.
frogs. Yeah, for sure.
Like you really do though.
Kiss
I
the
mean, I feel like I have a whole another like side of appreciation whenever it comes to our office and the technology that we have, because I know that for a year I had none of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that would be mine.
That's good. I think just really focusing one thing at a time. I would hope you could find a place where, and we're mostly female, so just find a place where you've got good support, whoever it is, a good team. I know when we start out, it's overwhelming, and I think we try to keep like 20-year-olds on all the new hygienist schedule for a while, just so it's easy and you're just getting your time down. I think just giving yourself grace and not so much stress.
Your office manager is awesome.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing that they.
Dr. A is, she is awesome, and we get to do what we want. We build our own schedules. We have a number that it's just been great.
Offices
So much
do
autonomy there.
exist. Yeah. they
Right.
do
Like
exist.
ease yourself in there. And if it's not going well, the biggest thing would just be talk to your doctor. I would hope you could have somebody that's your friend and mentor. And I found that.
Yeah. Because, and I like that you said that shows some grace, which is kind of what you all said. Be confident, but show yourself some grace. And I saw something on Facebook the other day where the hygienist was like, "Oh my God!" Like they told me I missed this piece of calculus. I'm 6 months
so
into
hard on
this, and
myself.
I'm like, man, I got no qualms at all about leaving some stain in calculus.
Yeah.
Like if that patient knows how to clean their mouth at the end of the day,
Right.
I've done pretty decent biofilm management. I got no problem leaving a little piece because I'll get it next time.
Yeah.
Like we did a lot of other things in that appointment.
Yeah.
I brought my cat to the vet the other day, and they're talking about, he's got a little bit of gum inflammation going on in the back.
Were you back
And
there scaling your cat?
Well, yes, absolutely.
I feel
'cause
my dog's
how do you
teeth.
think I felt after I heard that? I'm like, my life is ruined.
What is wrong
right?
with you?
Yeah, he's Instagram famous.
And then they
People
ask you,
follow.
what do you do? And
Yeah.
I'm
Dental hygienist.
I would not
Yeah.
be like,
But they're the
"No,
cutest."
I do.
I can't pay $1,000 for my cat's, dental.
Look into that. You want to talk about technology? Look into cat braces. It's a thing.
Dog braces
Kitty
too.
braces.
My dog could use braces.
Yeah.
But he's 13 and we're just living with it.
Yeah.
buck teeth and all.
Uh-huh.
Snaggletooth.
Well, thank you guys for coming on and taking the time. I know you guys are at the booth and we're in Vegas and we got a lot of things going on.
Thanks for letting me sit down.
Yeah, we totally winged it too. Like you just came and grabbed me, and I'm like, hey, let's
I
do
know.
it. It's awesome.
That makes the best podcast, though.
For sure.
So, if anybody wants to reach out to you and maybe ask a question or follow up with something that you said, what's the best way for them to do that? Apparently, no one has email.
Email.
I was gonna go email. Yeah.
I thought you were number one. I thought you were.
Should we do that?
And no one has an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine's going to be Martin at OperaDDS.com, but also you can find my beautiful cats on Instagram.
You enunciate
Follow them.
so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can't.
I appreciate that compliment.
It's that southern, like it's the Long Island southern accent there.
Very good.
So follow Mr. White, Jesse Pinkman
I'm going to do it right now.
on Instagram. They're two fluffy Persians. They're
I'm not a
much
cat
famous than I am.
person.
Oh, you will be after you see that. Trust me.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
Jesse can't.
Yeah.
We're making new friends.
Otherwise, visit
Friend me your
visit OperaDDS.com to find all the coolest new stuff in technology.
Love it. Love it.
It's perfect.
Yeah, so I'm my email is Meghan at RaleighDentalArts.com, and Meghan is Meghan.
Perfect.
I was going to ask how you spell it.
That's how. Got an 8.
Mine is the number 3 and then Jessica Lawson, LAWSON at gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, like you too.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. We hope you really enjoyed that roundtable, and be sure to check out PDT Dental. Head over to their website, Paradise Dental Technologies, and check, if you're on the show floor, going to trade shows, go see them. Check them out. They're great, great people.
And a special thank you to the guests that were on this episode. Feel free to reach out to them as well. They have a lot of good information for you, and they like to be contacted. So you'll see their information in the show notes.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. You're welcome to send us messages through either of those social media platforms. And you can send us a message at atale2hygienist@gmail.com. You can even email us directly, either Michelle at atale2hygienist.com or Andrew at atale2hygienist.com. And head over to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, atale2hygienist.com.
There's a theme going on there if you haven't been able to tell. And also, we're always looking for ideas for student roundtables. So if you're a student and you have a specific topic you want us to tackle, please reach out to us. Let us know.
We appreciate you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.